Welcome into the first ever NFL Draft Bible Podcast Network Super Show mock draft. We're going to be doing a full first round mock draft, and we have with us not only myself, Matt Hicks, the FF educator from the Draft Seminar, the Monday show on the NFL Draft Bible Podcast Network. We have hosts from almost every one of our shows on the podcast network, so I'm going to let these folks go ahead and introduce themselves in their show, and then we're going to jump right into this full first round mock draft. And Alec, I'll let you go ahead and kick it off for us.
I'm excited to be here. We got a really nice mock draft here, and always down to talk about the draft. I am part of the Prospect Profits show, which goes live 4 times a week on the NFL Draft Bible Podcast Network. And we do a ton of different things. We do a lot of off-season planning for teams. We talk draft. We talk 2 prospects. We've interviewed guys like Kyle Pitts and Tylan Wallace on the show. Usually Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays on the show. And all the other shows that we'll get to talk about in a minute here are also excellent shows. So make sure you check out all of them.
Awesome. And Alec is holding it down for us on Twitch especially. Dante, you are the Tuesday show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and your favorite podcast provider.
Yeah, so I'm Dante Colonelli from Inside the War Room. Our show is basically just a draft debate show. We do mock drafts. We debate about that. We debate about free agent signings, contract negotiations, trade rumors. We get very heated. We like to yell at each other. We have dissenting opinions, but it's a ton of fun. I recommend you tune in to our show and all the other shows.
Awesome. Eric, the Wednesday slot. Introduce yourself, my man.
I'm Eric Adams with the Dynasty Draft Room podcast. We talk everything Dynasty Fantasy Football with my co-host Ryan Steerfoss. And this is good. I had to do a lot to get on this podcast because I love mock drafts, and they wouldn't let me do mock drafts, so I had to sacrifice a small chicken to get here. So it feels good.
Dude, that doesn't play well. If you're watching the video of this, Eric is also in a dark cave of a basement, so they're gonna think you're serious.
I had to run after I sacrificed the chicken, so. Bear with me.
I love it, man. Dedication. And Jack will round you out here with us, our Friday show.
Yeah, I'm the co-host of Inside the NFL Prospects. We interview a broad spectrum of guys. We'll do top-tier SEC players as well as some small school kids. So you'll get a broad spectrum of different players, get to hear their backstories, how they got to where they are today. A lot of really unique journeys. And it takes you behind the scenes of these prospects. You watch their film, you watch them live as fans, but to get to know their background and where they've come from, it's pretty cool. And we're every Friday. Mostly right now we're doing prospects for this upcoming draft, but in the future you'll get a lot of these younger players as we get past the 2021 NFL draft.
That's fantastic. So on top of that, we also have a Thursday show, Mav Sports Takes, and a daily football show, The State of Football. You can get all of that. Again, check us out. We're on Twitch, and we are on your favorite podcast provider, NFL Draft Bible Podcast. So without further ado, we are going to jump into our full first round mock draft. And Dante, you are on the clock here with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, so I made the obvious pick. I went with Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence. There's not a lot of people that have anyone over Trevor Lawrence in their QB rankings, and the people that do are wrong. So I went with Trevor Lawrence here. Easy pick. I don't think we really need to discuss this. We can move the line along.
Yeah, no drama here with this pick, but we're going to toss it on over to Jack here, where the drama starts with the second overall pick.
Yeah, this is when the draft really starts. As every single mock draft you'll read until the actual day will say the draft starts with pick number 2. And I think that the guy who's become the clear-cut number 2 player, Zach Wilson, there's talks about the Jets keeping Sam Darnold. But even though I think Darnold, the ship hasn't sailed with him, you have to reset. And with a quarterback like Wilson, what he's been able to do this past season, arm strength, accuracy, ball placement, outside of structure, he's really good. And very few people dislike him. He's a top 4 quarterback. And analytics, tape, fans, everyone likes what he brings to the table. So move on from Darnold and try and resurrect this very lowly, horrible franchise.
Well, I think Alec might take up that comment here, and you are on the clock with Miami.
Well, I wouldn't say that they're horrible, man. No, I'm just kidding. I'm still trying to recover from the Jacksonville take. I wasn't expecting Lawrence to go there, and I was expecting him to fall to me at 3. But no, I'll take the Oregon tackle, Penei Sewell, who is, if you're talking about top prospects in this class, if you take positional value out of it, he's at least top 2, if not number 1. I think that what he does is phenomenal. And at the age of 19 to do all of that, if you project forward to what he'll be doing at 25, 26, he's going to be dominating the league as a blindside protector. Tua had a little bit of a rough season, but what people don't talk about is he went 6-3, and he didn't have any sort of receivers that fit to what he does. So let's bring in a tackle. We already have a young offensive line that we drafted a bunch last year, and put Penei Sewell in here, and let's build around Tua and let him develop.
All right, that's a pretty chalky start here. And I think, Eric, at 4 with Atlanta is where things can really start getting spicy. I think the draft could go in a few different directions here. Which one are you going to take us in?
Well, me and my brain trust decided to go with Justin Fields here. Safe pick for Atlanta. I think personally that means Matt Ryan will not be on the team this year. I don't know really what Atlanta's going to do leading up to the draft. I think they're going to be a good mystery team. If they take a quarterback here, which I have them doing, I don't see Matt Ryan being on the team. If they don't take a quarterback, obviously then Matt Ryan will be on the team. So that's pretty clear cut and dry. But they, like you said, Matt, they can go in a couple different directions. But Justin Fields thrown to Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley for the foreseeable future, I think that would put a smile on all our faces.
It sure would put a smile on my fantasy football rosters, because I think I'm going to have a lot of Justin Fields in that situation. All right, so I have pick number 5 here with the Cincinnati Bengals, and this is a tough spot for Cincinnati. Obviously, we would have loved to get Penei Sewell, the far and away offensive tackle 1. So now we have to look down the offensive tackle ranks, and everyone's going to kind of have their pick here. But I'm going to be honest, I went SI.com/NFL/draft. I went with our prospect rankings here, and the next OT up is going to be Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech. So I'm just going to keep it pretty simple here and just say I went chalk with the rankings that we have up there available for everyone, SI.com/NFL/draft. And we will kick it back to Dante here with the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to get spicy for the Eagles.
I don't know if I call it spicy. Look, I live in the city of Philadelphia, so I get a lot of people yelling at me consistently what I should be doing for the Eagles in mock drafts. I went with Jamar Chase here with the 6th overall pick. I think the Eagles could take a quarterback, but with the top 4 off the board, like in this scenario, I just don't think that that's smart. And, you've got a bunch of guys. I mean, arguably the best receiver on the team is Travis Fulgham, who, late round guy out of Old Dominion, probably not the player you want as your wide receiver 1. I think you get that guy in Jamar Chase at the catch point. He's going to be really, really strong, make a ton of plays if you have to roll with Jalen Hurts.
All right, I think that's a pretty good pick. I thought you were going to say you just get people that yell at you because you're in Philadelphia. I just thought that's the road you were going down there.
That is also a thing that happens. Like sometimes I'm just walking down the street and people scream at me. It's Philly. It'd be like that.
Absolutely, man. You got to love it. All right, Jack, you're up here with Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit is in a unique situation because in the past they haven't been able to draft. They don't hit on free agents. It's a tough environment to be in. They just got rid of Stafford. I think that they just got to get talent. They took Okudah last year in the first round. I think they go defense again. And the first defender off the board, in my opinion, the top defender in the draft is Ojulari. He's a pass rusher. Detroit, they're going to lose Romeo Okwara most likely in free agency. They don't have much in terms of pass rushers. What he did as a redshirt sophomore at Georgia was phenomenal. He is so advanced for only having played a few years in college football. So to me, you're going to get a premier pass rusher in this year's draft. And I think he's so underrated. So I think at 7, you're potentially getting a steal in one of the top defenders. So try and move that organization in the right direction because they've had a lot of bad picks. Character, work ethic, tape, they all check out with Ojulari.
And I'll tell you, Jack has been on Ojulari from the start. So he has been there riding the roller coaster to the top here. And Alec, we have Carolina up here with the 8th overall selection.
Yeah, and if we're Carolina right here, this is run to the podium type of moment with Trey Lance still on the board, my quarterback too, personally, and you go get him. You now solidify that quarterback position for the time being. Obviously, Teddy Bridgewater is not the guy there or not the future, so you bring in Trey Lance, and I think he fits really well with what you've already got there in Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore. And obviously Curtis Samuel is potentially a free agent, but put him in an offense with Christian McCaffrey. That's scary to me, and I think that Matt Rule will have a field day with that as his offense.
Yeah, man, that's fun. That is going to be a fun offense with Trey Lance there at the helm. Eric, up here with the 9th overall selection with the Denver Broncos.
Denver, with their defensive-minded head coach, is going to take Caleb Farley here. With the 4 quarterbacks off the board, I don't think anything else is in play for them in terms of being a quarterback. So Caleb Farley, implant him day one. He'll be their CB1 and another linchpin in Fangio's defense.
I like that. I like that a lot. I also like that you didn't attempt the quarterback position so my man Drew Lock could keep balling out there. All right, that brings me up here with Dallas with the 10th overall selection. And I'm going to go ahead and go with Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern. I know there's a discussion as to where Slater's going to play, if he's going to be able to play on the outside, if he's going to have to start on the inside and transition around. The bottom line is here, Dallas needs help on the inside and outside, so it doesn't quite matter. Let's get some talent to Dallas. And listen, they have a lot of money invested in Zeke. They're about to have a lot of money invested in Dak. I'm just going to speak that into existence. The offense is the blood of this team, and they're going to need to give their playmakers the opportunity here. So they're going to use this 10th overall pick to solidify that offensive line. And we're going to pass it on over to Dante here with my New York Giants. We got to make a good pick.
Yeah, so I went with my wide receiver 1 here in Jalen Waddle. I think you get Daniel Jones, a downfield target, someone who's an easy separator. The Giants just really lacked explosive plays on offense last year. And, that might be a byproduct of hiring Jason Garrett as the offensive coordinator, but getting Jalen Waddle in the building, a guy who might run in, the 4-2 range, I think is just really going to help, whether you get him manufactured touches or some deep passes down the field. You need to surround Daniel Jones with better weapons, and Jalen Waddle is a step in the right direction.
Oh, I love that. I love that pick right there for the Giants. I think that's fantastic. Let's see, Jack. Let's see what we can follow up here with the San Francisco 49ers.
Sticking with Alabama and offense, and it's not Devonta Smith, Najee Harris, 12th overall to the San Francisco 49ers, and a pick that I think it may be surprising to take a running back at 12, but if there's a running back worthy of it in this year's draft, I think it's Najee Harris. He's the most complete back. He can catch passes. He can pass block. He can do pretty much everything. He fits any scheme. The guy is fantastic. I think when you're looking at 12, they're going to have to bring back Jimmy G. You're at an awkward point in the draft where I don't think there's a blue chip talent defensively that's going to make a difference. They're getting a lot of pieces back. They got the receivers in place. They got the tight ends. Now go get yourself a premier back because, we've seen what Kyle Shanahan can do with guys he just picks up off the street. Now you're getting a player who has top 5 running back potential once he gets to the next level. So I think maybe a surprise at 12, but we could be looking at an all-pro in a year or two if they take Najee Harris at 12.
It feels rich, but I can't say I hate it, man. It actually gets me pretty excited to think about that fit. All right, Alec, you are up here with the Los Angeles Chargers at 13.
The Chargers definitely need help on the offensive line. They have found their quarterback of the future with Justin Herbert. They've got a coach that they really trust in Brandon Staley now, who has a lot of weapons on that defense to make the defense really good, as he did with the LA Rams. But for me, it could come down to tackle here, but when you have Kyle Pitts still sitting on the board, that's the player that I want to pair with Justin Herbert for years to come. And if I'm a fantasy player, that just lights up the board right there. I'm taking Kyle Pitts very early, but I'll take Kyle Pitts here for years with Justin Herbert.
Man, Kyle Pitts running around the field with those baby blues on, that is a sight to behold. All right, Eric, you are up here with the 14th overall selection, and the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock.
I went to our resident Minnesota Vikings expert, Zach Patrosh. Shout out to Zach. I told him I wanted to possibly get him a linebacker, but he's not a Micah Parsons fan. This seemed a little too rich for Zaven Collins and JOK for him. Normally he said he wanted to trade down, but we're not doing that. So this year I'm going to give him Christian Barmore, interior defensive lineman. The Minnesota Vikings last year, they got ran on more than a treadmill at Planet Fitness after the holidays. They really need interior defensive line help. Christian Barmore will be a step in the right direction for him.
Were you going with like a purple and gold theme there with the Planet Fitness joke and the Vikings?
No, but now that you said it, yes.
All right. This podcast is not officially sponsored by Planet Fitness, but
not yet.
Not yet. All right, here, moving on to number 15. I have the New England Patriots on the clock right now. Listen, you know what? I know it's a little bit controversial. There's some ramblings that maybe this player isn't as good as we think he is. You know, maybe he's not living up to the hype. I think he was one of the best players at his position. His name starts with an M. We've been waiting for him to come off the board, and that is Micah Parsons. It's going to be Micah Parsons here, the linebacker coming off the board for the New England Patriots. Listen, you know, I know there's different conversations about where his value is, but the Patriots could use him absolutely, and I was told by Eric I could take anybody but Mac Jones.
Amen.
All right, which brings up Dante here. The Arizona Cardinals, they've been making a splash already this offseason. Are they going to keep it up with the draft?
I think they are. I think they're going to find their Patrick Peterson replacement here with Patrick Surtain II, the cornerback out of Alabama. I think you get a really, really technically sound player with an NFL pedigree. This Cardinals secondary might be the weaker point on the team now that they've signed J.J. Watt, so you get a nice little plug-and-play corner here, a CB1. They really could have used him next to Patrick Peterson the last couple of years, but better late than never, I guess, here.
All right, that's interesting. Just the second corner off the board here, 16 picks into the first round. Jack, you are up with the Las Vegas Raiders.
The third cornerback goes off the board here, and I know the Raiders took a cornerback last year, but Damon Arnett wasn't a first-round talent. He's just not that good. You might as well. Gruden doesn't seem to care what anyone else thinks about who he selects, so go take the next best available cornerback because that's a position that they need. The NFL in the modern day, you have to be able to defend against the pass or you can't win. They've got a ton of pieces, but defensively they need cornerback help. So I think Eric Stokes from Georgia is the guy. He's going to give you that speed factor. He's 4.3 speed at 6'1", long-armed, and he played at Georgia. Ball production's there, had 4 interceptions this past season. He checks all the boxes, and he's just scratching the surface of what he could be. So I think you go get a premier cornerback, put him on the outside for the foreseeable future, and just let things play out because they need cornerback help still, even though they've invested a lot in it, and I think Stokes is the guy here.
All right, so far Jack has taken off the board 2 Georgia defenders, an Alabama guy. All right, I see where we're looking here. All right, coming up here with the 18th overall selection, it's Alec with Miami's second selection, and remember, they did take Penei Sewell with the 3rd overall pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think about Miami, and I'm walking away from this draft with Penei Sewell, and who I'm going to take right here. I'm leaving the first round pretty happy. I think we're maybe waking up 15 minutes later on day 2. We don't have to do as much preparation, but I'm going to take Devonta Smith, Alabama wide receiver. I think he fits. Not only did he play with Tua, but he fits exactly what Tua does well. He's going to win underneath, give Tua that quick routes, give him someone who's going to get some separation and get open. And I think that this will be, if you bring in these 2 guys, it's so crucial for Tua's development. And we'll see exactly what most of us loved from Tua coming out of Alabama.
All right, I like that pick a lot. And Eric, you are up here at the 19th overall selection, and the Washington football team is on the clock.
I just don't know what Washington's going to do with their quarterback position. Taylor Heineke, as much as I would love to see that, I'd be shocked if they went that route. So I think right here, as much as we don't agree with it, as much as we don't think he is a first-round pick, he's going to end up being a first-round pick. They're going to take Mac Jones here. He'll start day one. And we'll see how good he is with throwing to Terry McLaurin and having Antonio Gibson in the backfield. Ron Rivera's his coach, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I'm not really a Mac Jones guy. I just wanted to get him in the first round here. So, Washington, new quarterback. There you go.
I think it's probably his best shot at long-term success. I really do. I think the fit makes sense. The defense is solid. Offensive line is good. So I think he that's, in my opinion, his ideal landing spot for NFL success. I'm up here with 20 with the Chicago Bears. That's a tough spot for the Bears, man. You know, we're past that first tier where they could go and do something I think that really changes the course of their franchise. And so my selection's going to be based off of the assumption that Allen Robinson is not going to return. And you all know I hate player comps, but I love Terrace Marshall, and I am starting to fall in love with the idea that he can play a lot similar to Allen Robinson, put him on the outside, and I think that's a plug-and-play replacement here. So Terrace Marshall, he's my wide receiver 3, and he's coming off the board at 20 here for the Bears. Which brings us to Dante with the Indianapolis Colts with the 21st overall selection.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with a bit of a hot take here. I'm actually gonna get my offensive lineman 2 off the board, and Elijah Vera Tucker. I think he's the best non-Penei Sewell offensive lineman in this class. You get a combination of tackle and guard versatility, as well as power and refined technique. I don't think it gets much better than that. And for the Colts, you need to replace Anthony Costanzo at left tackle, and you know, Tucker will give them versatility. If they want to kick Nelson out the left tackle like they did towards the end of the season and they want Vera Tucker to play guard, that's something that they can do. So Vera Tucker will allow them to put the best 5 on the field to protect Carson Wentz. We've seen what happens to Carson Wentz when he's not protected. It's not great, so they need to focus on that in the first round.
The Philadelphia connections are really weaving through on this episode for Dante. All right, coming up here with the 22nd overall selection is Jack with the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, Indianapolis goes offensive line. I think Tennessee does too. Derrick Henry, if they get a player that at the right tackle position who's a difference maker, he could be a 3,000-yard rusher, and I think that's the case with Tevin Jenkins out of Oklahoma State. His tape over the past 2 seasons has been phenomenal. He doesn't give up really any pressures. He pummels guys to the ground on a consistent basis. He's, in my opinion, the best run blocker by a wide margin in this draft. In a run-first team, in Tennessee with Derrick Henry, they took Jack Conklin in the first round. I think Tevin's better than Conklin. You had 1 year stopgap without him. I think you bring in a guy like Tevin Jenkins. He's going to be a difference maker at right tackle. I think he could be a Pro Bowler year 1. That's how good he is, especially on that offense. I think this is a perfect fit, and they're lucky he falls to 22.
All right, so we got a little bit of run of offensive linemen here. We're going to go with the 23rd overall selection. Alec is going to be making that for the New York Jets. It is their second selection. And remember, they took Zach Wilson with the 2nd overall pick.
Yeah, and we're going to keep the run going on offensive linemen here. And I know that the Jets took Micah Becton, who was absolutely a stud for them last year. They got a couple guys on the interior that I think are pretty competent players. And now let's bring in a right tackle of the future with 6'8" monster of a prospect, Spencer Brown, who to me has not had enough recognition in this class. He was down at the Senior Bowl after not playing for an entire year because the FCS did not play this season, and he played, in my opinion, real well. Let's bring him in. He can be the right tackle of the future. Now you have him and Mekhi Becton coming off the bus first. I don't know what team is going to want to play us anymore. And Zach Wilson's now the quarterback. So give Zach Wilson all the time in the world to throw.
All right, that's 6 offensive linemen now off the board here in the first round. And Eric, you are up with Pittsburgh with the 24th overall pick.
And we're going to make it 7. Alex Leatherwood, the tackle from Alabama. Pittsburgh, you know, they're going to miss out on the top 5 here for the quarterbacks, so I don't think that's under consideration anymore. They have Big Ben coming back, and anytime you have to protect your $41 million cap hit quarterback who can't move, you got to do it. So Alex Leatherwood to Pittsburgh at 24.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and break the offensive lineman streak. We've kind of seen the Las Vegas Raiders pick up the mantra of Clemson West. Well, gentlemen, I'm giving us Clemson South here in Jacksonville because I'm going to send Travis Etienne to to Jacksonville as well. Keep him with his quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, which was Jacksonville's first overall selection in this mock draft. And all of a sudden, this offense is starting to look real nice, which is going to bring us over to Dante here with the 26th overall selection.
Yeah, so with this safety class, I'm not sure that there's going to be one that gets into the first round, but I think it'll probably be Trayvon Merrick. So that's where I went here with the 26th overall pick with Cleveland. I think you get him on the back end of that defense. You get Grant Delpit back from injury. Those two guys should form a really, really nice pairing. Merrick kind of the guy playing in the deep zones while Delpit's more up towards the box. Merrick smooth, good transitional quickness, good ball skills, smart player on the back end. He should help the Browns clean up one of their holes on defense.
All right, I like that selection a lot here. We're going to move to Baltimore with the 27th overall pick, and Jack, you are on the clock.
We're going back to offensive line here, and in Baltimore, Orlando Brown wants out. He wants to play left tackle, so let's go get a different Oklahoma player, Creed Humphrey at 27. Baltimore likes to run the ball with their quarterback, with their running back, and they have to reestablish that offensive line. That's been their bread and butter. Is you have that offensive line in place, the rest of the offense, it just seems to work out. They've lost a lot of pieces. That interior does not have much talent. Go get a Creed Humphrey, who is the best center in the draft, in a difference maker. He's going to be an exceptional player very early on for them, and he's going to be that difference maker along the interior in a few years. That's going to keep Lamar Jackson upright.
Yeah, being in the Baltimore area, I can tell you it's probably not the sexiest pick around here, but I think it's what they need the most. I think that's a great pick here for the Baltimore Ravens. Moving on to number 28 here, it's the New Orleans Saints. And Alec, this is your final selection of this mock draft.
Yeah, and it's not usual that you see a team drafting number 28 overall and having so many problems that New Orleans is going to have. Quarterback is a question. Cap room is terrible. There's really not, as sad as it is, there's not much to look forward to here. And we could reach for a quarterback, but I don't see any in this range. So I'm just going to take a player that I think is going to be a difference maker on this defense. And they're going to have to cut a lot of cap space just to get under, including Quan Alexander at the middle linebacker spot. So we're going to replace him with Nick Bolton, linebacker, Missouri.
All right, I like that pick a lot, and I think that fits the New Orleans drafting style as well. They're not a team that's going to go ahead and reach. And Eric, a team whose drafting style is impossible to predict is the Green Bay Packers, but take your best shot.
If I have to listen to one more gosh darn offseason of the Packers not taking a wide receiver in the first couple rounds, my head's going to explode and leave to Mars. I have the Packers taking Kadarius Toney at 29. I don't know if it's going to be Toney. I don't know if it'll be Rashad Bateman, Tylan Wallace, Elijah Moore. I do not care. Just take a wide receiver, please. I do not want to listen to people groan over having to watch Alan Lazard and Marquez Valdez-Scantling anymore and EQSB. Enough of that. Just please, for the love of God, Green Bay, take a wide receiver. No.
Yeah. So if your favorite wide receiver was not taken in this draft, just pretend like we took him to Green Bay at 29
yes.
instead. Okay. I like that plan here. So you can let us know in the comments. All right, moving on here to pick number 30 with the Buffalo Bills. I got a little outside the box here. I think edge is definitely a need for them. We saw them kind of go after J.J. Watt. They lost out in the sweepstakes. I think they might pursue that through free agency. And it's a little bit of a luxury, but I'm going to take Pat Freiermuth here. And I actually like Dawson Knox, but I think they could roll two tight ends out there a lot. And Freiermuth brings a really a versatile dynamic to the game. They need some help creating space because those running backs need space to operate. And he can help with the run game, but he also has sure hands. He could be a red zone threat. And I think he could be a really nice additional weapon for Josh Allen. And we're going to move on to pick number 31 here for the Kansas City Chiefs. And Dante, you are on the clock.
Yeah, so the Chiefs are in a weird spot. They don't have a ton of holes, but I think their biggest place that they need to address right now is the offensive line. So I took the next offensive lineman on my board, which is Jalen Mayfield, the offensive tackle out of Michigan. I think you get a player with really, really good physical traits, length, quickness. He's got nice pass sets. You do have to clean up a little bit of stuff like with his hands, and I think he might be able to add some weight. But I think you have really good natural power, natural strength. Could play guard, could play tackle, depending on where you want to take his development. And the Chiefs need somebody like that up front.
All right, I like that a lot. High upside there in his development. And Jack, you have the final selection of the first round for the defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The rich get richer here. If you thought playoff Lenny was good, watch what Javonte Williams is going to do in that offense. To me, yes, he was the 32nd pick in the draft, but it wouldn't be surprising if he's the offensive rookie of the year. If you put him in Tampa Bay's offense at 32, awesome offensive line. We know the weapons that Brady has. They're going to be retaining a lot of players. And you go get them a premier running back who catches the ball really well, pass blocks really well. And the dude, when you put the ball in his hands, you're not tackling him. He's a threat to take it to the house on any play. To me, Javonte Williams has a chance to be the offensive rookie of the year. If he lasts to 32, Tampa Bay gets a steal, and I think that he can be a difference maker that can help them repeat.
All right, there you have it. That is our full first round mock draft brought to you by the NFL Draft Bible Podcast Network. You have a few options to let us know how we did here in this draft. First and foremost, you can check out our Discord channel. The link will be in the show notes, and that is open to everybody, so jump in, tell us how we did. If you're watching the video here on YouTube, leave it in the comments, roast us, let me know about all my great picks, however you want to do it. But most importantly, you can check us out on your favorite podcast provider, NFL Draft Bible Podcast. We are also on Twitch with the Prospect Profits, as well as the State of Football. We are bringing you daily NFL Draft, Devy, and Dynasty Fantasy Football, and we appreciate you tuning into this episode, this super mock draft episode.